was about that time that I realized perhaps shouting political slogans at my mother wouldn't get me out of cleaning my room or babysitting my brother, but I still felt like I had proven my point. Anarchy is crucial because it provides representation for people who do not wish to be bound to a singular or central ruler, rather a united, cooperating society amongst the citizenship. So today, in conclusion, we have reviewed what anarchy is, anarchy's representation in modern media, anarchy in practice, and how to be an anarchist yourself. Because nothing says anarchy like starting your speech with the conclusion. So, let's talk about anarchy. What is it? Why should I care? Is it going to bring Steve Jobs back? Do any of these questions have answers? We'll find out in the next exciting episode of Dragon Ball Z. In short, anarchy is a state of society with complete lack or non-recognition of authority. It can happen in as big of scenarios as an entire country's political revolution, or as small as some speech kid doing stupid stuff that most judges would frown upon, but well-trained NSA judges such as yourselves that are clearly competent enough to have been hired to judge at the state level can clearly see isn't grounds for disqualification. As put by Noam Chomsky, anarchy isn't people running around in the streets breaking store windows. It's actually a conception of a very organized society, simply with as little control and domination as is feasible. Or to paraphrase, there are no rulers. But that doesn't necessarily mean that there's no rules. Think of a high school classroom when the regular teacher's gone, and you've got that one cool sub filling in that everyone loves. You know, the one that's completely burnt out on teaching, and you can tell the only reason they're even considering stepping foot into a high school classroom is for the extra cash. Students understand that they aren't going to have to follow a regular class structure, but they also aren't burning things and breaking chairs over each other's heads. There's no ruler, but there is still order. Now, all of this is well and good, sure, but why should you care? As the average American citizen, living in a society with rules about the rules, realistically, none of us will ever get to experience true anarchy within our lifetime. Well, why you should care is up to you. And I'm not going to tell you what to think. Anarchy, do what you want. So now that we've discussed what anarchy is, let's move on to anarchy's representation in modern media. Now, clearly something as taboo as anarchism isn't going to have a very prominent representation in the mainstream media. And anywhere that it is found, it isn't going to be portrayed in a very positive light, right? Well, think again. Let's take a look at the Teletubbies. You know, they lived in an anarchist society. They were self-sufficient without any kind of government body. Unless you count the creepy baby sitting in the sun, staring at them and laughing all day long, the Teletubbies were a bunch of anarchist hippies. But of course, that's the only example, right? No, think about Blue's Clues. You had all these members of a town living together. You had Stephen Blue off in their own house, Magenta doing just fine, Purple Kangaroo, Green Puppy, and Periwinkle doing all right without anyone bothering them as well. But was there any source of authority outside of their respective people that they answered to? But of course, one example's chance, two's coincidence, and three's a pattern. So without any kind of third example, all of this is absolutely pointless, right? Ed, Edd, and Eddy. Where's there a single adult in that entire series? The children ran their own functioning society in every single episode without any kind of intervention from parents or town government. Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. There was no homeowners association in his neighborhood, much less a mayor or a governor. He still knew when to put his shoes on without anyone having to tell him to. In Sesame Street, you never see any cops patrolling the street harassing Oscar for living in a trash can, or any mayors opening new facilities with oversized scissors. The cat in the hat just waltzed his way into Sally, an unnamed brother's house, who taught them that it's all right to rub a big old middle finger all over the rules. So long as no one gets hurt. And maybe that's what's important here. Even though we're being spoon-fed anarchist ideals from birth, there's still some legitimate morals attached to them. So now that we've discussed anarchy's representation in modern media, let's move on to anarchy in practice. Now, anarchism, much like Marxism or a pregnant women's boxing league, works out great on paper, but would encounter enormous problems when put into practice, right? I mean, any anarchist nation would be very attractive to a potential dictator, since there's no centralized, organized government to stop them from coming in and forcefully inserting their own fascist regime onto its citizenship. Following this train of logic, any anarchist nation is doomed to fall to a dictator's rule, right? Well, no. Actually, there have been several very successful anarchist societies, including currently thriving Freetown Christiania. Located in Denmark, Christiania has been functioning just fine since 1971. They have no rulers, but still have a set of rules. Three main ones, actually. No violence, no hard drugs, and no weapons. All of these are fairly agreeable, right? That's because all the rules are decided within public city meetings. If a proposed rule isn't unanimous amongst the citizenship and attendants, it simply isn't put into place. Now that's fantastic, but that's in Denmark, on a completely different continent, thousands and thousands of miles away. It doesn't affect us here in the United States, even in the slightest. We should probably be focusing on acts of anarchy a little bit closer to home, in this room even. That being said, judges, I'm sure you've been sitting very happily this entire round, assuming you're the only ones doing any kind of judging. Well, boy, do I have a surprise for you. I've actually been collecting my own series of notes through this entire round. If you'll give me a few moments to copy them down onto paper, you can use this time yourselves as well to write anything down on my ballot that you want to. Whenever you're ready.
I'm trying to judge you.
Don't mix Anarchy. Um, 30 seconds. You can distribute the ballot amongst yourselves however you see fit. Now that we've witnessed real-life anarchy in practice, let's move on to how to be an anarchist yourself. Now, I'm sure some of you after watching this are very interested in anarchism. And luckily enough, I have found just the book for you. So let's take a look inside and see what it has to say. I guess me dictating to you how to do something that revolves around not being told what to do kind of defeats the purpose, doesn't it? The other day, I was just sitting in my room, minding my own business, when my mom decided I had enough me time, and I needed to come downstairs and hang out with the family. By that, she meant she wanted me to fold laundry and watch my brother while she ran to the gym for a couple hours. I felt like I had enough of her telling me what to do, so I decided to take a stand. I literally stood up and said, "That's it, you fascist! No longer will I bow to your oppression! Signal resistance!" Needless to say, my display didn't work out so well. It's kind of difficult to protest when you're confined to the attic for the next 6 months. Anarchy. A state of society with a complete lack or non-recognition of authority. Today we will examine what anarchy is, anarchist representation in modern media, anarchy in practice, and how to be an anarchist yourself. Because nothing says anarchy like closing your speech with the intro.